You left your perfume on the pillow and your whispers in the air. Got your face stuck in the mirror and I keep finding your hair. Got a big box in my closet with the fall pictures we took. Oh, and I keep finding dog ears that you left in my books. Miss your ache and I just crash over, cause you crashed in like a tsunami. Woke up next to you so hungover, sunlight painted stripes on your body. I'd give anything that I have for just another one of your nights. You can't have it all in a life, but just a minute more of your time.
It's Pride Month. I like video games, especially unhinged ones beyond any recognition. Boom! Unhinged video games from the LGBTQ community. Yay! Or as they're apparently called, the Alphabets community. I really love alphabets, but then I had to take some pills. And because of those pills, I can't eat cereal during the morning. People have already talked enough about Dustborn, so I don't really need to do anything about it. But if it has that Suda51 writing, maybe someday, but again I'll think about it. But no, unhinged garbage only. What? The director of Dragon Age is gay? Nah, we need something crazier, much crazier.
Okay, this looks insane enough. Abyss Zero is an action game inspired by frickin' anime that's not out yet, but just look at it. This game is made by the same people who made Unsighted, which I forgot to buy because I tend to prefer 3D titles, but gosh darn, girls kicking butt beyond anything you expect. This is what happens when you grow up with anime.
Shinji, crank that, soldier boy.
Wait, girls that grew up with anime using it as an inspiration in order to make something new? Shout out to the creators, they're really great. Sure, you may like anime, but what about gay websites? No, not those kinds. There kind of was this subgenre of games that was basically explore a phone/computer of a person, but twist for a while. My favorite being a normal Lost Phone, due to how it's not an horror game for once. Finally, after Sarah and all that other stuff, they might be pioneers of the genre, but I kinda got tired of it eventually, because after one game we know about the horror twist that's coming up, and the way the saga tried expanding on the lore, it just didn't work out for me. A normal Lost Phone isn't scary at all. It instead focuses on developing characters. How it's related to the LGBTQ+ community, I won't spoil. Nope, I won't spoil it at all. There is also a sequel that I forgot to play. Again, Terra Nova sort of does the same thing with a computer and late 2000s, early 2010s vibes. It's all about low burn character building with a lot of text to read. If you're into that, you'll probably enjoy Terra Nova. A lot of the more known LGBTQ titles games are visual novels or text-heavy overall, as they have big, important stories to tell. Terra Nova is like that, which is great.
I want to read something deep, something dark. But other times, you just want to play Jammer Lammy. Parappa the Rapper is a game about Parappa learning to comply with society's expectations. But then suddenly Sunny Funny is like, yeah, you should be yourself instead of doing that. So that's what Parappa does. Meanwhile, Lammy is just trying to survive, as a bunch of really stupid stuff keeps happening on her way to the concert. But yeah, she's riddled with anxiety and she has her guitar on her. The thing about Lammy is that the absurdity of everything that happens to her is what makes her incredibly relatable. At least more relatable than Parappa. We all had our crappy days where absolutely everything went wrong. We tell our friends at work or at home or whatever. But the thing that makes Jammer Lammy more queer than Parappa is a certain aspect of femininity in one of the chapters. Aside from an interview with Rodney Greenblatt where he says he wants Lammy and Katie to be together, there's also this interview with Katie that hints at some things. Some very, very non-straight things.
Boyfriend, smoyfriend.
The thing about the feminine characters of that era, especially in America, is that they were either love interests or side characters simply, damsel in distresses, etc. Any feminine main characters, aside from Lara Croft Tomb Raider. The thing is that most femme characters normally looked more feminine, less, punkish like Lammy. They had to have some very feminine attributes, instead of looking like this punk. Yes, Lammy looks like a punk for some reason. Really interesting how non-conformist she is. There's this one weird part where Lammy eats too much pizza, so a bunch of really random people decide that suddenly she's pregnant. So she has to go to the mall for 50% off stuff. But there are so many babies here that they're crying. She has to help people calm babies down. Yep, and the baby is a guitar now. The worst part of this satire is how women and men both sing and want Lammy to conform to their ideals for some reason, but Lammy is just horrified. Women were often associated with shopping and malls and blah boys, something like Mary-Kate and Ashley, especially during that era. For some reason here, it's also chaotic and disgusting that you can just laugh at it. It's really funny to see how limited our perspectives were in the 90s. And Jammer Lammy takes a jab at that. It feels interesting to see this kind of satire in a kid's game, and makes it even more queer. At least it's one of the most queer games of the 90s. Because one of the most queer games of the 2000s is Ivy the Kiwi. Hear me out.
Nights into Dreams, made by Sonic Team as well as Yuji Naka, has an interesting genderless character, Nights, in order to relate both to Elliot and Clarice, who are feminine and masculine. Their struggles are very stereotypical with their genders. while Knight's struggles are barely known, aside from maybe if you read the manual. It's okay, Knight's is a nail anyways. It wasn't until Journey of Dreams that we got to know Knight's more personally.
Go over and touch Knights. That is, of course, if you're interested in that sort of thing.
This is weird out of context. Personally, I love the way he's a bit of a likable jerk, with his more mischievous side being shown, as well as the way he fits into the Knight's lore. Will and Ellen have less gendered struggles, with it being more about understanding their bond with their parents rather than sports or singing all the time. So Journey of Dreams feels even more queer in that way, even without the involvement of Yuji Naka, who was busy creating his own studio to develop Rudy the Sky Soldier, which is its own can of worms, as well as Yuji Naka's arrest. Meanwhile, he worked on Ivy the Kiwi, a game about a frickin' trans kiwi. Spoilers for Ivy the Kiwi. Skip to this section if you care. Ivy the Kiwi hatches from an egg, being bullied by the other animals for not being able to fly, only to meet an owl who tells her that she's a kiwi. She then feels less alone, continuing her quest to find her mother. When Ivy finds her mother, she discovers that her mom is a phoenix. So when Ivy's mom tells her that she's a phoenix, Ivy comes out as a kiwi, and her mother accepts her the way she is. The story then tells you that there ended up being plenty of kiwis running around, and the credits erase the question mark next, confirming that indeed Evie is a kiwi. I'm not even sure if that was intentional. I doubt it, but it is a crime that it was never released as a storybook. Almost as much as a crime as insider trading. Ivy the Kiwi is a better trans metaphor than that one Powerpuff Girls reboot episode. You know, the one that advertised itself as a trans metaphor. Evie the Kiwi's gosh darn trans, deal with it. It's almost as obscure as Sonic Shuffle. Sonic Shuffle is, spoiler alert, about Illumina, who controls dreams, being split in two due to Void shattering her precious stones inside her. There's Lumina, the light side, and Void, her darker side, with Lumina being femme-coded and Void being mask-coded. Lumina wants to destroy Void, but Sonic Gang convinces her to accept the darker side for who he is in order to become a goddess again. It's like Persona 4 8 years earlier, but also somehow I can relate to this. Hear me out! So Illumina discovering that this more mass side was part of her in order to feel like herself is something I would consider queer. Sonic Shuffle has a queer game story, and it's getting its own video. Someday, I hope. Persona 4 have been talked to death and tries avoiding any type of real queerness, but goddamn, Kanji Tatsumi is so relatable, being told that doing acting made me automatically gay all the time during high school sure was annoying, even more during the 2000s. I am gay because I like Taiko no Tatsujin. I'm gay because I like men. Amongst other types of people, there are plenty of non-binary attractive people, but nobody needs to look like Markiplier. Oh look, a catnip game about catnip. Wow, that sure is a catnip. A queer game about queer cats probably. If I'd recommend the game for some reason, it'd probably be No Me. The future is ours. It lasts about 30 minutes. While the story doesn't have much depth, its writing has the same kind of attitude as something you'd find from Suda51.
ドラマには僕の大好物が詰まってます。儀式の生贄、動物の多重婚、そして排泄物の清掃命令を下せるってこと。10点満点。
You'd think it's just a game where you just read stuff and talk to people, but no, it's also a 2D platformer with controls that sort of exist. Then it just ends with one of the two endings. I kinda know why Quinn K made this. The future can look bleak, so to vent about that, it's queer art time. Quinn K also made an RPG, horror title called An Outcry that has the same kind of attitude, starring a non-binary protag who gets locked out of their apartment, only for spooky stuff to happen, with also RPG mechanics. It's also a social commentary, because of course it is, I kinda like it, and of course talking about realistic queer issues can lead to that. This ain't no queer doc, RuPaul. The writing often feels painfully realistic. The fantasy horror elements only complements the story's message. In a world where it seems like you don't belong due to systematic issues, you can fight and you can survive. Plus, you're not as alone as you think you are. Also, it's kind of a tribute to other RPG Maker horror titles. Let me explain. Tumblr had this very big fandom of RPG Maker titles. Indie titles created with RPG Maker. These titles often introduced people to horror video games due to how they're free to download. However, not being rated by the ESRB, they got away with so much stuff. Being free, YouTube and Tumblr jumped all over it. Despite that, most of its cast was as straight as an arrow, aside from a game, but we'll get to that later because I forgot about it. That is, aside from the usual Tumblr shipping moment, as usual. So seeing some random RPG Maker game about the non-binary person smoking cigarettes in 2022, it just hits really dang hard. Like, nice shot! I would also talk about Night in the Woods, although it does not resonate with me at all. Greg and Angus definitely were the quintessential gays that definitely felt more realistic than more gays introduced in gaming before. These two are an important milestone of the LGBTQ community in gaming. It's too bad the rest of Night in the Woods is so bitter, so sad, so cynical, I can't just play it anymore. Although that does not undo his actions. Dalek Olaoka probably was going through a lot while writing the game, so I feel like his point of view was very present in the game, and is part of his experience. Night in the Woods did so much to gaming, it has already become a classic. It's just that I have discovered a kinder, sweeter side of the world, so I need to just let go of this game as I grew up and it's just slowing me down. So yeah, Night in the Woods. Aren't the minigames funny? That bot! No. Let's just move on. Love Up, Love Down is just a cute pixelated platformer about hairy gays collecting arts, and it looks adorable. Too bad it's incredibly hard. What even are those hitboxes? Why is this collectible there? No checkpoints? Ah! The art direction is simple, and the concept is quite simple too. It's kind of rare to see this kind of simplicity in a queer video game. For a smaller project, this one's just nice. If you want a good challenge and enjoy pixelated 2D platformers, try this one. After playing Celestor, they seem to be very good friends, which I'll call here they blah. It is a puzzle game about pairing up boys and girls, or gays if two boys are next to each other. Nothing happens when two girls are next to each other, so the game makes fun of that aspect using memes. So basically, this is a critique of how lesbian romances are often trivialized or seen as gals being pals in our society, making actual lesbian romances harder to exist Meanwhile, simply being next to a guy makes you automatically gay.
Two bros chilling in the hot tub, 5 feet apart cause they're not gay.
Because of the influence of America. We live in a arranged society. This title is really interesting to play despite its short length, or even lack of a proper ending. If you like 2D Zelda titles, play this one. Oh god, I forgot about an RPG Maker game, made by VG person who translated many RPG Maker games. Libreta is about you, who find yourself in a mysterious library after stuff happens. It has the atmosphere of Ebe with a little bit less jump scares and deaths. Libreta even has a trans girl representation that isn't just played for laughs. I need to replay that one, or RPG Maker titles in general, or just rewatch Manly Badass Hero play it as usual. Queer horror is always fun, so is queer humor, hence why Dreams for PS4's like Boo is an adventure game about a queen exploring her dollhouse. However, spooky things end up happening to the point where it almost became a psychological horror game. That is, despite the quite funny commentary of our protagonist. That made me laugh out loud. I also think the game could have been much more polished due to some bugs or the jankiness in general of the movements, but also this is Dreams. Oh my god! You know what though? Wait, I'm going to talk about Suda51 again. Yep, I sure am, according to this script. To be honest, I think writing like Suda51 is always a good thing.
Glory to the Soviet Union.
Mostly a good thing. The same creator, Ellen of Boy, made a 3D open world genderless adventure, which I kinda like, but also it's an open world, so it kinda can feel empty.
I feel all
empty
mushy and tingly inside.
We always need silly stuff to counterbalance the darker theme. Wait, how long is the video? Alright, then I need something big, life-changing, that could go beyond anyone's expectations to end the video. I wanted to put something stupid here, but Pearly Perkit Adventures impressed me as a platformer/adventure title with pretty funny dialogue. The intro is also long, and while the gameplay can be buggy, I like it just as a fun little game. Also, this is one of those cases where this is a self-insert fanfiction, but the absurdity of the title makes the self-insert aspect much more natural. So it's funny again. As for the last game, Sayonara Wild Hearts. Yep, it has an LGBT tag on Steam, so it counts. This is about someone getting over their breakup/a bunch of tarot cards by beating the crap out of the card representation of these breakups, using a sword or a motorcycle. This is what I need, as the game takes heavy inspirations from Tetsuya Mizukishi's titles, Rez, Space Channel 5, Child of Eden, you know what I'm talking about, very musical heavy inspired titles. Sayonara Wild Hearts is just as insane, if not much crazier. I would also argue that this is an anti-Rob Rabbit's title that isn't about wooing the girl of your dreams, but rather getting over her. The gameplay is tight, since it's just a bunch of cuties that use one button, although a couple of camera angles can be quite tricky and can lead to death. It's to the point where you can collide into objects really easily if you're not careful. Since you move using the joystick, it's just that the controls are very precise. Same for the objects hitboxes. Fortunately, plenty of checkpoints allow you to mess up as much as you want, unless you want a gold rank. Yes, it's one of those games for hardcore gamers. Plus, there's a no-hit run challenge. Wow, I'm not hardcore enough for that though. The game is as short as its inspirations, so I guess it has some replay value. While the presentation is beyond gorgeous, this is what I want future video game titles to look like. I would call Sayonara Wild Hearts a queer masterpiece. But either way, that's it for the queer video games video. Thanks to all of the creators, links in the description. Happy Pride, bye and have a nice day!